Can I just say that I am now a townie? A four-townie?
You don't like the movie, so you can't have that.
I didn't say I didn't like the movie. That's not what I said whatsoever. You're going to get everybody in the comments blasting me now saying I didn't like the movie. Welcome back to I2I, the place where we talk about anything and everything Disney. My name is Kyle.
And my name is Jessica. And before we get started, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel and turning on that notification bell so you don't miss any of our content.
This is going to be another movie review. This time we're going to be taking a review in a wide, spoiler-free look of Turning Red.
Turning Red.
A new Pixar film in the film series that just wants to make you cry. For all the good reasons sometimes, but also some of the bad.
Did this one make you cry and I didn't even know that?
No, there were no crying moments for me in this one, but there were,
there were tears by the characters.
Yes, there were. There were emotional moments. This will get into our review in a little bit, but I think, maybe would have been tears for a certain part of the audience that maybe watched this. I don't know. I'm just saying. It wasn't for me, however, just the whole emotional side of it, but I could appreciate how it would make you feel if you were the audience this was probably more geared toward.
I have no idea what Kyle's talking about.
That's a long, convoluted way to say this is probably not the movie that's exactly meant for me, is the way I'm trying to get at.
Okay.
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 So what we're going to do in this review, since I took that long route to get there, we're going to talk about our 3 reasons to watch this movie. We'll keep spoilers.
Do you have any reasons to watch since you just said you don't like the movie?
I just can't win now at this point.
You just ruined it.
No, I wasn't saying I didn't like the movie.
Okay.
I was just saying
You're not the target audience?
For me to cry, you got to really connect with me, and I don't know that I wasn't the target audience.
Like somebody dying in Avengers.
Well, hashtag spoilers.
I didn't say who.
Lots of people.
Exactly.
Anyway, so 3 reasons to watch. We're also going to discuss a reason each of us that you may not like it or want to watch it. We'll just try to have an even keel discussion there. Favorite major character, minor character, and then we'll give you a rewatchability scale on how likely we are to watch it again. So let's start it off, Jessica, with reason number 1.
The reason I want to watch it is the 90s nostalgia. I did not remember, or I didn't pay enough attention that this was going to be such a 90s film. I didn't notice that it was going to be set in the 90s and early 2000s, like Tamagotchis and boy bands. And, I knew there was going to be a boy band, but the Tamagotchis really got me.
Can I just say that I am...
Wow, you just blew right past my dad joke.
I did, because it was so bad I was trying to blow past it for you. Can I just say that I am now a townie? A 4-townie?
You don't like the movie, so you can't have that.
I didn't say I didn't like the movie. That's not what I said whatsoever. You're going to get everybody in the comments blasting me now saying I didn't like the movie. I'll just cut to the chase here. I actually thought I enjoyed the movie a little bit more than I would. That being said, about this particular reason, the nostalgia, I agree that it was nice to have those things in it.
The boy band, 4-town, even though there were 5 members, which is weird. But anyway,
they addressed that in the movie too. So they're not a spoiler, but
I did think that was really cute. It looked very much like Backstreet Boys with their dance moves, and
I had to have that tune in my head all day humming it.
Yeah, that's enough. That's enough. What's another reason to watch it?
So wait. So what is it? Backstreet Boys, or was it NSYNC that it was more like?
No, it was more like Backstreet Boys, specifically their Millennium album where they're wearing the all white, just like 4-town was wearing the all white on the stage.
I will say that when we were watching it, this may be like a minor spoiler just in terms of things that you see in there, that they did a certain move when they show up on screen, and I was like, that's a Backstreet Boy move right there. I don't even know how I knew that, but I'm just saying. I just don't want to ruin too many things for them since this is a spoiler-free review. But Tamagotchis, boy bands, the clothes look 90s to me.
Yeah, no cell phones.
No cell phones, that's right.
God, they had
cell phones.
Well, they had the little, the flip phone. But it wasn't there was no social media.
Yeah.
They weren't tweeting and stuff.
True. So that's a really good reason. I'm glad you brought that one up.
Yeah.
Reason number 2 that we have listed for you guys, this is a coming of age film, but more specifically, and this kind of gets into what I guess I was trying to say but failing to do so, for girls specifically. That doesn't mean that the movie is specifically for girls, but if you...
But females will relate to it more.
Exactly. And I think that is probably where some of my trepidation came in with this. Am I going to really like this? Because when we watch the trailers, they look fun, but you can tell the story is about a coming of age story for
it's a 13-year-old girl.
Exactly. And so the entire time through this movie, I keep looking over at Jessica like, was it like that for you? Or was
Kyle, literally every time the May, the main character, would like talk about a boy band and her crush, he was like, that's how you were. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
But what I loved about this was like the over exaggerated expressions that we know that y'all didn't have about those particular things when you were growing up. But I can just imagine, like, that's what the emotions would have been like for you, like, in your head or something like that. It'd be equivalent to, like, for me, as a guy growing up enjoyed sports, seeing, like, a huge sports star going, oh, my God,
Right.
just, that kind of thing.
Michael Jordan, Shaq, somebody from the 90s.
Michael Jordan, yes. Shaq, no.
Really? Okay, well, that has
Auburn
this
people,
movie.
I'm a huge Auburn. I know, that's my little digression there. But I thought, from a guy's perspective, obviously I didn't go through those things that young girls went through. I'm just trying to say, like, it was an interesting... You keep trying to make this awkward. And
I'm just wondering where you're going with this sentence.
I'm simply trying to say that it was an interesting perspective for me as a guy trying to understand what it was like for young girls that were coming of age, going through what they liked, what they didn't like, their struggles and something like that. That's why it was interesting for me to look at you and go, was that what it was like for you? Just highly exaggerated?
Yeah.
I could imagine you.
Emotions are very high when you're a 13-year-old girl.
Emotions are high now. What are you kidding yourself? I mean, they need to come live in our house for a day and see the emotions that are in here. Reason number 3 that you may want to watch this one.
Obviously, red pandas. Duh.
So, can we just address this? The moment you saw this movie, you were in just for red pandas.
Duh. They're my favorite animal on the whole planet.
Why are they your favorite animal?
Because they're like a little kitty cat, but they're like bigger and in the wild, and they are just so freaking cute. And the way they like curl up in those little balls with their fluffy tails. And red pandas are the absolute cutest non-domesticated animal in the world.
They're not cats, okay, first of all.
But
sorry.
they act like little kitty cats, and they're so cute.
So
and they're just...
You are literally proving my point. The question that I asked earlier about, do you relate with any of these characters? Was it like that for you? You're literally one of those characters like, oh my gosh, I want to squish it to death.
Like, yeah, when Abby, the little friend, was like, I just want to squish you.
Yeah, she was. Yes. So it was funny because Jessica is so much like Abby just in some of her, like, I cannot contain things like that. So that in that moment.
Wow, thanks.
I think you get so excited about things that you've even said, you just wanted to squish those things,
Yeah.
like that kind of.
That's how I feel about red pandas. If I ever got to touch a red panda, I couldn't.
Do you remember? Have you seen the video? I think it was. What's the name of the lady that played Anna in Frozen? Kristen Bell.
Yeah.
Kristen Bell. Have you seen her in Sloths?
Yes. That's me with red pandas. 100%.
So there's plenty of red panda in this. In fact, they spend a lot of time with her. Obviously, if you've seen the trailers, you know that she transforms into a panda when she has emotions.
Which is what I wanted. I didn't want this to be called Turning Red and it not have red pandas in it.
Well, but I
needed the amount of pandas
there was a
got.
lot of red panda, especially towards the end of the movie.
Yep, which we will not talk about.
Exactly.
But, yep, we needed all of it.
And I would say that it kind of like, at one point, there was a moment where it was borderline Power Rangers.
Yeah, I can see that.
Someone has to do with the red pandas.
Because it was red pandas and the animation, and it just felt like furry and fluffy. And,
It did feel like the animation looked really good, like especially when the panda was out there, just kind of like
cheeks.
And the tail and the ears and the
yeah.
So
cute.
If that's a reason that entices you to watch this movie, if you haven't, that is reason
watch
number
it
3
it's
for
cute.
us. All right, let's talk about one reason each that we may suggest that you may not like it or something that may not sit well with you about this. I'll start with one here. So, and I think this is where there's actually been a little bit of disagreement online about whether people like this, think it's a good movie. And look, everybody's entitled to their own opinion.
Yep.
So let's just go ahead and throw it out there. There is this kind of dynamic there of a daughter and a mother, and you can apply it to any scenario, a father and a son, father and a daughter, trying to break free of that, I need to protect you, but also I want to be my own person. Mm-hmm. And I think there are failings on both sides in terms of showing that you can be too disrespectful to your parent, but also you can be too overbearing. Mm-hmm. And at the end, as you would expect in a Pixar movie, there is a reconciliation. And for the most part, I think they handled it well. But I think there's some areas for improvement. And I think that's something that parents need to keep in mind when you're watching the kids. Just really know that there might be things that come up. it's a reason not to
I
watch.
agree. I think this is probably, especially parents of young kids, this is something you'll want to pre-screen
Yes.
before letting them see. But I also think it is a very limited target audience. That
Yes.
may have been a failure of the movie. Maybe that was the intent. I don't know, obviously. I think it's pretty much zoned in on middle school girls.
Yeah.
I think that is who this is going to relate to the
Right.
most. They're going to relate to it. Younger kids, there are some iffy things that as a parent, I don't know that
You
you
may
would
not
want
be
your-
ready to address those with them.
Right. And older kids are not, they're going to find it stupid.
Right.
And so I feel like I was a target audience because I grew up in the 90s. I was a 13-year-old girl, in the early 2000s, right after the 90s. So this worked for me.
Right.
It worked really well for me because I could relate to it. But for you,
Yeah.
you weren't a female growing up. So
But I still enjoyed it. And I think that's the thing is they took some of these stereotypes and kind of had a lot of fun with them. It just made them kind of crazy at some point, like the overblown emotions and stuff like that.
I think for me, I was looking for it to be more like Onward, where that was almost a coming of age for a male perspective, However, that felt like it transcended anybody. Like I could relate to some of the things in Onward.
Yeah.
Whereas this, there were just a lot of topics that we will not get into on this video, but a lot of topics that obviously Kyle would have no understanding of or no relatability to growing up in a household of only brothers. So I just...
We had our own issues, let me just tell you.
I just think that there was just a missed mark. Maybe if the character had siblings or if there had been some other dynamic, I think this could have worked a little better, but they just kind of narrowed their scope so much.
Yeah.
And like I said, worked really well for me. I loved it. But I could see why other people would not love it.
And I think, to add on to what you said, I think that's why this ultimately went from not being in theaters to just Disney Plus. Because I think they understood this was a targeted audience, but it had some value for everybody. And it probably gives people that maybe want to screen things before they go see. And we're not trying to say that there's anything major in there,
No. But you can read the reviews online and see where people have issues with. We will not go into that. That's kind of not our
It's not our
thing.
MO. We're not into that.
We're here to spread positivity.
So, with that, let's talk about our favorite major character real quick. Who is your favorite one?
Mine was Mei Mei. I loved her. I loved her panda version of her. I did love her story arc.
Mm-hmm.
I loved her story of finding herself, but also being respectful of her parents. And not a spoiler, but that is one of the things that people have problems with, is her finding herself while being respectful of her parents. So figure that out on your own. But honestly, I did love that.
And I think that's what I was trying to say earlier. I think they missed the mark in how they portrayed and explained that. But I get what they were trying to say. And I think we shouldn't overreact just because it feels a little off. And they probably did make
a mistake. Cartoon.
It's a cartoon.
I feel like people are overreacting about a cartoon.
That's true. My favorite major character, though, I'm going to keep it real lighthearted, is Abby. And her overblown just reaction to everything. She's the tiniest girl of the group.
Yep.
And she's just this little compact ball of just energy and like, everything's fluffy. You never squish it. Because it reminds me of her. That is why I loved Abby. What about your favorite minor character?
Well, Abby was my favorite minor character because I thought she was a minor character.
Remember, minor characters don't affect the plot if you remove them.
To be fair, they could still have Mei Mei's plot without Abby.
You have a point, but still.
So, either way, she's still one of the best characters. She reminded me so much of Ned from Spider-Man.
Yeah.
She was just hilarious. She was what we all needed in this movie.
I'm going to change mine on the fly here.
Okay.
I was going to give an honorable mention to the dad, because I thought he had some shining moments in this.
Did.
However, I'm just going to go Four Town because just like
the band,
because I thought it was going to be super like cheesy, but they didn't do a lot with them. I thought, but when they did, they sold the moments and made it really funny and kind of played off of it. So I think all in all, this movie had some very high points and had some points where it missed the mark. But I think overall, everybody can enjoy it. So from a rewatchability scale, 1 out of 5. 1, I will not watch it ever again. 5, I will definitely watch this probably as soon as we get off this. What are you?
Honestly, I'm a 4.
Yeah.
I loved this. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I think I am the target audience. I had Tamagotchis growing up. I was a huge Backstreet Boys fan. I was a dweeb like Mei Mei and Abby. So I'm it. I loved it. 4.
I would definitely give it a 4 as well. Because
What?
because they did a great job of mixing in the stuff that's not as relatable to the non-target audience and making it fun and interesting and just kind of crazy. Because there's a point where you realize, like, wow, this is kind of just a little over the top at some points.
Yep.
But I kind of love it at the same time.
There was a moment towards the end, which I won't talk about, but there's just this really over the top thing that happened, and I'm looking at Kyle like, is this really happening?
Are we thinking of Go-Go Power Rangers?
But I kind of love it, so I'm here for it.
So those are our thoughts. Spoiler-free. Hopefully we kept it completely spoiler-free throughout that. We want to know from you now in the comment section what you thought about the movie down there below. If you haven't seen us, let us know why you haven't seen it yet, what you're still working through. Keep that conversation going down there. What else should they do?
Like I said before, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel and turning on that notification bell so you don't miss any of our content.
And that's all we have for you in this edition of Eye to Eye. Until we assemble again,
May the force be with you.
and we'll see you real soon.
Bye, guys.